Square Enix. Man, it's been a while since I played one of those games. What have they been up to the last few years? Well, that's kind of... Whoa. That's an interesting sound. Never heard that sound before. Whoa! That's pretty nice. But BCS Buster, you've never tackled on a game like this before. Oh, but I have. Well, never in an LP. But I've decided to up my game a little bit. So why don't us all go together? And let's play Final Fantasy 13-2. Okay, everybody, this is BCS Buster here, and this is actually more just of a trial. I wanted to see. I just finished playing this game. I guess let me explain what I'm doing here, and I love it. I absolutely love this game, and with the third installment of this game, Final Fantasy 13-2. I guess it'd be Final Fantasy 13-3. Lightning Returns coming out this later this year. I decided I wanted to try and create the best Final Fantasy 13-2 walkthrough on the internet on YouTube for this game, and I think I can do it. I played through this game, love it, and I think I'm actually capable of doing a complete walkthrough of this with all the best monsters that you can get, all the side quests, all the fragments, all that kind of stuff. If you have never played this game before, you are in for a wonderful ride. This is a great game. I actually think this game is better than the original. I think that the story flows a little bit better. It's more user-friendly, and I just love the design and the story in this game. So, in order to get you caught up, let's go to the beginner's primer. And I'm going to take you really quickly through all of Final Fantasy 13, and I'm just going to let the person read what's going on. So hopefully you can understand.
Cocoon, a utopia in the sky. The populace live a life of ease under the protection of almost godlike beings known as the fal'Cie. The lower world, Pulse, over which Cocoon floats, is believed to be a land both hostile and uninhabitable. One day, on Cocoon, a dangerous Pulse fal'Cie is uncovered in the seaside settlement of Bodum. The governing body, known as the Sanctum, announces that all residents of the town are now contaminated. The Purge is enacted, legislation that requires every citizen from the affected area to be forcibly relocated to Pulse.
Well, that doesn't sound good at all. But fal'Cie, it's kind of a strange name, but okay. Very good. Well, let's see what happens in the first chapter.
The Purge has begun. A band of young rebels emerges to oppose the army and its attempt to exile innocent civilians to Pulse. Moving through the midst of the confusion is Lightning, a soldier who fights against the Sanctum's forces, along with Saz, a middle-aged man with his own purpose. She makes her way towards the structure where the Pulse fal'Cie was found. In that lower world Vestige, her sister Sarah is being held prisoner. Others also converge on the same location. Snow, Sarah's fiancé. Hope, the teenager who watched his mother perish. And Vanille, a young girl of unknown origin. All those who would play a part in Cocoon's future are unknowingly drawn together.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Believe me, I played through the whole first chapter of this game, and I did not get that at all from that. So the storytelling in the game is kind of weird, but okay, chapter 2.
fal'Cie possess the power to transform humans into a cursed l'Cie. Both Lightning and Snow have entered the Vestige to rescue Sarah from just such a fate. As if guided by an unseen force, the would-be saviors arrive in the deepest part of the structure, along with Saz, Hope, and Vanille. There, the five discover a bewildered Sarah, only to witness her transformation into crystal. Lightning, driven by rage at losing her sister, hurls herself at the Pulse fal'Cie. She is joined in the battle by a determined Saz, who has his own reasons for wanting the fal'Cie destroyed.
Man, fal'Cie and l'Cie, that's all very, very, very confusing. At least it was for me. I eventually figured it out, but still, it was quite confusing to me for a while. But basically, the fal'Cie are these evil beings that can turn these these kind of like these gods who can turn regular people into creatures who, who can basically, well, it'll talk more about l'Cies later, I think, and if not, I'll explain it.
The battle with the Pulse entity changes the destiny of the 5 new companions forever. They have become l'Cies, cursed servants of the fal'Cie. All l'Cies are given a focus. Those who complete this focus are turned into crystal. Those who fail, however, are doomed to become mindless monsters. Their master is an enemy of Cocoon. Are they now fated to destroy their own home? As the others sink into depression, only Snow retains a positive outlook. He believes that Sarah's last wish, for them to protect Cocoon, is their true focus. Snow stays behind to protect her crystal, while Lightning and the rest attempt to break through the army's rapidly closing net.
Interesting. So yeah. So can I scroll up? Yeah, I can. So basically, like, l'Cies are, they're kind of like mindless creatures. Well, I mean, they're humans, but they have this goal, which is to do whatever this fal'Cie, this god, tells them to do. So, but that sucks because you either get turned to crystal and die, or become a mindless zombie and die. So being a l'Cies really sucks.
Lightning and her companions, now enemies of the state, are pursued by Sanctum forces. The former soldier makes a decision. Rather than be hunted down, she vows to take the fight to Cocoon's capital and slay the fal'Cie in charge of the government. The young boy Hope, drawn by Lightning's strength, chooses to follow her. Saz and Vanille choose another route and flee through the Vile Peaks. Meanwhile, Snow is captured by an army unit under the guidance of a mysterious woman known as Fang. These soldiers are members of the cavalry, a group that professes to be an ally of l'Cies.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay, well, let's move on then. Very good.
As part of their journey towards the capital and the Sanctum fal'Cie, Lightning and Hope enter the Gabra Whitewood. The Whitewood serves as an experimental facility for the army, but patrols here are few and infrequent. As they walk, Hope explains his reasons for being there. At Snow's urging, Hope's mother joined the battle at the Hanging Edge and was killed in the fighting. The grief-stricken youth had then chased Snow into the Vestige. Lightning tries to counsel the young man, but Hope's desire to exact revenge on Snow burns brighter than ever.
I really think they're running out of names by this point in the Final Fantasy series. I mean, they've got Weather, Lightning, and Snow, and then they have a girl, Vanille, which sounds like vanilla. And Fang. Well, I guess Fang's kind of cool. I can buy that.
With no place else to go, Saz and Vanille find themselves wandering the Sunteth Waterscape. Saz eventually spills his story to Vanille. He explains that he joined the fight for the sake of his son Dodge, who had been chosen as a l'Cies servant by a Sanctum fal'Cie. Saz thought that if he could defeat an enemy of Cocoon, he might release his son from his focus. After hearing his story, Vanille is consumed with guilt. Both she and Fang are Pulse l'Cies and enemies of Cocoon. Their presence near the Sanctum fal'Cie is the reason Dodge was cursed in the first place. However, she cannot bring herself to tell Saz the truth.
We'll get more into that here in a little bit. Palom Polum. Weren't those... No, that was Palom Porum. I'm thinking Final Fantasy IV.
With the help of the cavalry, Fang searches for the other l'Cies. She has a debt to pay. Her lost memory and forgotten focus were the reason Sarah was cursed by the fal'Cie. The Gran Pulse native later encounters Lightning in the city of Palom Polum and apologizes for Sarah's fate. Lightning's response is a blow to the jaw. Elsewhere, Hope finally gets up the courage to confront Snow. The teenager is consumed with his lust for revenge and attacks the Nora leader. Despite the boy's actions, Snow puts himself in danger, protecting Hope from an army airstrike. The 4 l'Cies later regroup at Hope's house and meet his father. They reconcile their differences and decide to work on finding a future rather than dwelling on the past.
Oh, that's so sweet.
In Nautilus, the city of dreams, Saz and Vanille's frantic flight from the Sanctum comes to an abrupt end. Dodge, now in the custody of the army, has used his l'Cie powers to track down his father. The boy turns to Crystal upon completing his focus to locate an enemy of Cocoon. A PSICOM officer appears before the unbelieving Saz and tells him the truth. Vanille is the reason his son was made into a l'Cie. Vanille admits her guilt. She offers no resistance when Saz raises his pistols to fire. But Saz realizes her death will change nothing and lets Vanille go. Such mercy is all he has left to give.
That's actually a pretty moving scene in that game, so if you get a chance, you should look that one up on YouTube. That's a good one for sure. Man, so, whew, kind of crazy. Well, what was the one part in there that I thought was really crazy? So, yeah. So by the l'Cie, sometimes when fal'Cie become l'Cie, when the fal'Cie give regular people l'Cie, the l'Cie brand, they get certain powers and special abilities. Like, it was kind of cool. Yeah, so it's kind of cool, I guess.
Lightning joins Snow, Hope, and Fang in an assault on the Sanctum flagship. The cavalry has lent them its aid in rescuing the captured Saz and Vanille. After a long search, Fang is finally reunited with Vanille. The six l'Cie then fight through the ship's defenses and come face to face with the Primarch, representative of the Sanctum. However, the truth that he reveals is beyond their wildest imagining. The Primarch, who they thought to be human, is actually a powerful fal'Cie by the name of Barthandelus. The fal'Cie also shocks them with the knowledge that their focus is, in fact, the destruction of Cocoon. Barthandelus guides the l'Cie to a vestige hidden beneath the capital, where other truths await them.
Whoa, they have to destroy their own world? That's crazy.
The companions encounter Cid Raines, the commander of the cavalry, in the bowels of the monster-infested 5th Ark. He explains that should they complete their focus and destroy Cocoon, then countless lives will be lost. This sacrifice is necessary to draw a deity known as the Maker back into the world. Raines then reveals himself as a l'Cie of Barthandelus. The soldiers of the cavalry had been mere puppets of the fal'Cie. Now, however, the commander is acting under his own human will. To prevent Cocoon's destruction, he attacks Lightning and her friends. Although he is ultimately defeated, Raines still turns to Crystal. He shows them how the fate of a l'Cie can be overcome.
Yeah, so maybe they don't have to be crystals forever. That's kind of crazy. What was I going to say? Does every Final Fantasy game have to have a Cid in it? I think it has since Final Fantasy IV. Maybe even before that. Gran Pulse. Where you spend half the game, really.
The six l'Cie have crashed on Gran Pulse, the terrifying lower world that the people of Cocoon speak of in whispers. Seeking for a way to overcome their cruel fate, the companions travel to Erba, Fang and Vanille's hometown. There they uncover an ancient prophecy that tells how Fang and Vanille attacked Cocoon several centuries in the past. It also speaks of how they entered into crystal stasis and later awoke, once again driven to destroy the floating shell. All their actions recorded and prophesized, but no mention of how to avert the catastrophe. But if they refuse to fight, then Cocoon will fall. Readying themselves for the conflict to come, the l'Cie head for Cocoon's capital once more.
Indeed. And by the way, they all lived on this world floating above. Cocoon is floating above Gran Pulse. So it's like they lived on the moon, and Gran Pulse is the Earth, except the Earth is overrun by monsters. And big-ass monsters, too.
Chaos rules in the capital city of Eden. Raines, though he wishes for the independence of mankind, is a helpless tool of the fal'Cie, and the soldiers of the cavalry who trusted him have now risen in revolt. They mean to slay Orphan, the fal'Cie that lies at the center of Eden, unaware that its death would mean the destruction of Cocoon. To prevent this cruel catastrophe, Lightning and her fellow Lucy battle through the streets in pursuit of the vengeful soldiers. They finally catch up with the cavalry, only to see them transformed into hideous Seath. Only one thing remains to be done. The Lucy must face Barthandelus, the mastermind behind all that has transpired.
Damn. By the way, Seath are the creatures that you turn into if you don't complete your focus or your task as a Lucy. I know all these terms can be very confusing in BCS Universe. I didn't quite understand it myself for a long time. Really didn't understand it until I played through this game. Well, kind of a combination of finishing Final Fantasy 13 and then playing Final Fantasy 13 too.
Lightning and her companions claim victory over the mighty Barthandelus, but in doing so awaken Orphan, the fal'Cie who keeps Cocoon aloft. Their first battle with Orphan ends in failure, but through the sheer force of their belief, the six rise to fight again. They have the power to make miracles happen, and the strength to change their fate. Awakened to the power within them, the Lucy achieve the impossible and defeat Orphan. At the moment of the fal'Cie's death, Cocoon begins to plummet towards Gran Pulse. Then a miracle occurs. Fang and Vanille undergo a transformation into a great crystal pillar that halts the fall of Cocoon. As the dust settles, Sarah is freed from her crystal stasis and greeted by Lightning's smiling face. Or so it was meant to be.
So it was meant to be is right. And that's where we will pick up when we begin Let's Play Final Fantasy 13-2. Now this is going to kind of be a side LP, and I'll upload an episode when I get a chance. But I'm still going to do Final Fantasy 7 as my main LP, and just kind of upload Final Fantasy 13-2 whenever I get a chance. Probably a couple episodes a week. And then once I'm done with Final Fantasy 7, I will finish up with Final Fantasy 13-2, and by that time I'm sure Lightning's Return will have come out, and I'll start playing through that on my own. And while I'm doing that, I will go to my other next Let's Play series after that. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you'd like to see an LP of this game. I'm really excited about bringing it to you, and about, I finally found some software that I've been able to, and some hardware where I've been able to record myself playing modern video games and not necessarily from emulators. Also, I'll be playing this on a PS3. So the buttons that you'll be seeing are for the PlayStation 3, and I'm sure that there will be similar buttons to an Xbox 360 for those of you that are playing on that system. So anyways, want to get your comments, get your thoughts, and I'm looking forward to bringing this side LP to you. But until then, this is BCS Buster signing off. Don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter at BCS Buster LP, check out my donations page, and as always, take care, y'all.